I'm joined on the show by political science and international relations graduate, a degree I studied, international relations, Zandile Jantjies, cultural activist Lethiwe Maritz, and a student activist Mlangaliso Mkhonto. Thank you to all of you for coming in this evening. And first of all, I think let's start on this side. Take me through just what Africa Day means for you, just in 30 seconds before we start our discussion.
Africa Day to me means celebrating our independence, celebrating our culture, our beliefs, our traditions.
Africa Day for me is commemorating independence and how far we've come against imperialism and colonization and all those things, and our regainment of our dignity as Africans.
The African people embracing their heritage to get into their inheritance.
So where has it all gone wrong, do you think, for the youth, that the four of us have to sit here? And I just want to put it on record, I've just turned 36, but I still feel like I can have this conversation. I saw that facial reaction. I'm not sure if it was good or bad. Where has it gone wrong for the youth that we now sit here, that these kind of conversations have to happen?
I feel like we've adopted too much of the Western culture and diluted ourselves.
How? Give me a practical example. If you look at South Africa.
Our music, the music that we listen to, the way we dress, our way of life, but particularly music.
Zandile?
I would say that we've been taught that the best jobs are being a doctor and being a lawyer, and there's a lack of innovation and promoting entrepreneurship. We've always been told to work for someone. I think that's where we've gone wrong.
And Mangaliso, just give me a sense then, as someone who is getting up to the age where you can start having political influence by being able to vote, of course, where do you think it's gone wrong for us? Because we have to understand where it's gone wrong for the youth before we can understand how we fix this.
Look, Gareth, I think, and this is a reality that we see every day. Young people are not empowered to break the barriers that we have in society. Even our education system is not informed of the realities that we have as African people. So we find ourselves in a system that says we need to get to school so that we can have a better life. And at a later stage, that particular system does not have jobs for the people who went to school. So we are in a system where we are doing up and down as young people because we're looking for give-outs. We're looking for handouts. We are not taught to develop our own systems that are sustainable in nature. We are not taking anything from our indigenous knowledge as African people to solve the problems and the challenges that we have as a people.
Lethiwe, I see you nodding, and I'm going to come back to you on why that is in a moment, but I'd love to just ask Zandile this question as an international relations graduate. I studied the degree, and I find it fascinating. I'm sure you'll remember this in your studies, how being African, Africanism, but also fitting within the sovereign international world, and how we're able to be African, in Africa, with African culture and style and music and all of this, but still have to be part of this global network. Are you finding there's opposition to this?
Yes. I think we are chasing this global dream, and we haven't achieved our African dream. And especially with these Chinese presence in Africa, and we need to push that African voice, that pan-African voice that we have in in the African Union aspirations. We need to really address those issues.
Ramaphosa is going to be the AU chair next year. What would you tell him if he pulled you in as a special advisor for next year?
I would say, Mr. President, we can develop and we can chase our global dream, but we need to remember our objectives as Africans and our pan-African voice. And we need to make sure that we don't leave people who are already marginalized behind.
Lethiwe, I saw you nodding while Mlangaliso was talking about the handouts. You seem to not like that term too much, and it could very well be true. Is that fair? Is that what the youth are doing?
Yes and no. You can't help but want those handouts because there's nothing. There's literally nothing. Half of the youth, actually more than half of the youth, is unemployed. That's a problem. That's raising huge red flags. And like Nsako said before, the guest before us, we go to school, we study everything, but then there are no jobs. So what must we do? And then I'd say no, because we can still be innovative. I think that if we truly go back to our roots, if the youth would invest in knowing about their culture and their heritage, then we have the future.
You spoke about entrepreneurship quite a bit and using that. It's one thing to ask for entrepreneurship and create entrepreneurship, but is there support for youth entrepreneurship in this country? And if not, I'm going to assume you're going to say no, and it's terrible of me to assume, but let's go with that. How would you fix that? If I gave you an entrepreneurial department?
Look, I think entrepreneurship is a solution to a lot of young people today because these queues of unemployment are growing longer and longer every day. So young people need to be then empowered to be in the entrepreneurial space. We need to have more hubs. We need to have more incubators to bring about all graduates and even post-secondary school learning activities into these hubs to empower young people to go out there and solve the challenges that we have in our communities. Because entrepreneurship needs to be social entrepreneurship that we need to be pushing as African people. We need to appeal to Ubuntu. Our business models need to be derived from that. But what our governments are doing, they are not creating space that is available for young people to participate. Instead, there's red tapes everywhere. The fact that I'm now a postgrad student in electrical engineering is a red tape on its own. You cannot be employed. Now you're over-educated. You are less educated. When are we suitable then to fit into the community that we have today and be able to push barriers?
So Zandile, what I'm hearing here then, it's not even a case of just the opportunities aren't around. As you're suggesting, there's actually red tape blocking you. Even if you wanted to, if the space was created, you still can't get into it. It would be the barrier to entry is almost impossible. Why do you think that is?
The government, in his SONA speech, he spoke about doing away with a previous work experience. And we've heard that annually, every year, and we get excited. It's upsetting to the youth that you get all these promises every year that we are priority and that we're going to go somewhere. And it excites us, and then these things don't happen. It's really upsetting.
So let me ask the uncomfortable question, because we've spoken about a lot of the problems and there were some solutions.
Yeah.
We were talking about voter apathy and youth voter apathy. I think you all three know where I'm going to go with this one. Did you guys vote? And it doesn't matter, you don't have to defend it if you didn't, but did you vote and do you think it's important to as the youth?
Absolutely.
Why is it important to vote?
If you don't vote, then you don't have a right to complain. Your vote could have been that 1% or that one vote that could have changed everything.
So what do you say to those who don't vote? The youth?
I worry about them. I'd like to actually sit down and find out, why didn't you vote? That was your opportunity to have your voice heard.
And Zandile, what do you say to those who we've spoken to on ENC a number of times, whether it's in the streets or in studio or in reports, who say they don't feel like there's anything to vote for? They've given up.
There were people who were told that if you vote for that small party, you're wasting your time. Why are you doing that? For me, it's important to vote, to have a voice and to dilute power. We have to vote for these parties. And it doesn't matter what you choose to vote for, but what's important is you are diluting power.
Yes.
Are the youth talking to the youth about voting, or is everyone just expecting the politicians to talk to you?
Everybody's expecting somebody
So
else
is the
to do
youth
it.
failing the youth, I think is my question.
Possibly.
Yeah, youth structures are suffocated in society today. We've seen for the first time the ANC winning elections without its youth league being active. That is worrisome to say, if the youth is not active in what the ANC is building, what are we going? I'm shocked that there's 400 million youth in Africa, but when you look at the African parliaments, you see old people every day. You will guess the youth of Africa is in China on some exchange program or something. But 400 million of youth is in Africa, and half of that youth, more than half of that youth is unemployed. Where is the future of Africa? And I think education then, voter education, needs to come to the fore to say, why are we voting as young people if we are not going to be part and parcel of the people who need to draft the framework of where this nation and this continent needs to go to?
I heard a lovely saying when you were speaking to Slandila. You may have heard it when you were waiting to come on air. The United States of Africa. I just love that term. I've heard it before. I'm a big fan of the United States of Africa. It makes sense to me. I really do get it. Do you think the African Union, though, has the teeth? They may have the bark, but do you think they actually have the teeth to do it? And do you think that's where it should be heading? If you could tell the AU what you wanted, what would you tell them?
I think they are in a better position to implement that or drive that because they are the leaders of Africa. I would tell them to include youth. Include youth, like really sit down with the youth and ask them, what do you want? How can we help you? What are you short of?
Zandelia, why aren't they doing
What skills do you have?
Zandelia, why aren't they including the youth? Why do you have to ask for that?
Why are they not including the youth? I wouldn't know. I honestly wouldn't know. I think it's just fear. Maybe they think they have better experience. They are
Scared of change?
Yeah, scared of change, and it's really scary because Africa is known as the youthful continent. So if we are afraid of such changes, I don't know.
You led me so nicely across to Mlangiso again when you said a youth continent, because of course you're a student activist as well. You, as a student activist, what are students telling you? What do they want the AU to do?
No, I think, one, I don't think the youth needs space to be created by the old people for them to come and be party. I think the youth needs to push those barriers. I think if we're going to be handed power as the young people to say, come, we invite you, it's not going to work in our advantage. We need to be on those doors where we are shut out as youth and collectively come together from different political parties and say, as the young people, we want to be part of this. And the students have shown that they can unite as a youth, as an element of the youth. They have that unity within themselves. We've seen it before, students coming together. And I think we need to build from that. The youth of 1976 of Setsi Mashinini had to be there on the street for themselves to make a footprint for them. And our youth as well needs to arise in 2019.
Final question to all three of you. I just want to hear from you as briefly as you can. Forgive me, I do want to just get this in. It's very important. Are you feeling hopeful for the next 5 years? Final question to you.
I'm an optimist, so I'll say yes. Yeah.
You?
Yes, I'm feeling really hopeful. I just wish that we try to stick to our goals before we really chase that international dream.
Mr. Nkonta?
I'm hopeful. I see some black unity even in the parliament. I see the EFF singing with the ANC and all other parties together saying communism to the front. And I think for the AU, that is a beautiful picture to look at.
I appreciate all of you coming in on Africa Day. I really do appreciate your time and coming to speak to us. Thank you very much indeed. On the far right-hand side, student activist Mngaliso Mkonta, sitting right next to me, or in the middle is Zandile Giantjes, and closest to me, looking wonderful on Africa Day, is Letiwe Maritz, joining us here on News. My thanks to all three of you.